Welcome to Your Scary Stories. We will be narrating the stories you share. Prepare yourself for stories that will haunt your nights. Enjoy. This happened about a year ago. Me and two friends liked exploring abandoned places and messing with things. There was an old hospital near the industrial area, and we knew some homeless people lived there sometimes, so we weren't expecting ghosts or anything like that. When we got inside, we talked louder to show ourselves. As we kept exploring, we heard a voice. It sounded like a man talking quietly to himself. We called out, and the talking stopped immediately. We decided to go to another floor. That's when we started freaking out. We reached a hallway with old patient rooms. One door was moving, like someone was pushing it back and forth. Then the door stopped moving on its own. We heard breathing behind us, but the hallway was empty. As we were about to leave, we heard a loud bang echoed from one of the rooms. We ran as fast as we could. Once we were outside, we didn't talk for a while. Later, one friend admitted he saw someone standing at the end of the hallway. We went back a few days later in the daytime just to convince ourselves it was nothing. Maybe we just freaked ourselves out, but that memory still gives me creeps.
I worked nights at a fast food drive-thru for almost 2 years. It was close to 3 a.m. I was wiping the counter when the sensor beeped. I greeted them, but there was no response. I waited, then greeted again, and still nothing. I was about to reset the system when the speaker clicked and a woman's voice greeted me. Then she ordered. When I told her the total, she didn't answer. I leaned toward the window to check the lane, and the car was there. I asked her to pull forward. She said her car won't start. I told her I'd bring the food out when it was ready. When the food was done, I grabbed the bag and stepped outside. But the car was empty. I stood there for a few seconds. Then I heard the speaker click behind me. "Thank you," the woman said. I turned around and the lane was empty. Car was gone. I checked cameras and footage showed a car pulling in, but in the next frame it was gone. I was shaken and barely finished my shift that night. 2 weeks later, car pulled up during my shift. It was the same voice and she ordered the exact same thing. I didn't respond and stepped away from the window to call my manager. When we checked lane together, there was no car. But the order still printed. I quit shortly after.
I missed my stop on the subway late one night. Fell asleep after a long shift. When I woke up, the train was empty. We stopped at a station I didn't recognize. The doors opened. No sign, no map, just a concrete platform. The conductor's voice came over the speaker. "End of the line." I didn't get off. The doors closed again. Next stop was my actual station. I never missed my stop again.
When I was in college, There was a part of the town cemetery everyone avoided. It wasn't haunted or cursed, it just hadn't been maintained for decades. One night my roommate, his girlfriend, and I cut through that section because it was the fastest way back to our dorm. Halfway through, my roommate pointed at something. A kid out here. A girl, maybe 13 or 14, blue hoodie, stood between two gravestones. We walked by slowly. She didn't look at us, didn't move. When we passed her, I glanced back. She was gone. A week later, I mentioned it to a local barista. She looked spooked and told me there'd been a girl who went missing years ago, last seen wearing a blue hoodie. Her memorial was in that back section. That night we walked the same path again. And there it was, her memorial stone. Someone had placed a brand new blue hoodie on top of it.
That happened when I was 9. Every summer, my relatives would gather up at my auntie's house, and I would have a sleepover with my cousins. One night I woke up because I wanted to go to a toilet. The window was open because of summer's heat, of course. I remember looking at the window, and it was pitch black dark. When my eyes settled, I saw my older auntie calling me from outside. She was next to the gate, calling me to come over to help her with something. I was still sleepy and didn't think much about it, but as I was about to leave the room, it clicked. It's past 3 a.m., and what will she want at that hour? As I turned around to ask her what was she doing there, she was gone. After that, I barely slept and told everything to my cousins next morning. One of my cousins told us how he saw some dark figures working and cooking at the summer kitchen when he went to the toilet with me. He said he didn't want to scare me that night. The other cousin told me that her aunt called priests last year because she kept seeing nightmares with 3 headless people. Turns out it was restless souls of the dead. Then we kept sharing scary stories, and it was fun. Until it was night. After that day, we couldn't go anywhere without adults.
When I was 16, a group of us went hiking on a familiar trail near our town. We'd been there dozens of times. About halfway through, we saw a side path we'd never noticed before. One of my friends said, "Let's check it out." Something in me said no. We argued for a minute, then decided to stick to the main trail. Later that evening, we realized something was off. Our phones all showed different times. One said 6:10 p.m., another 7:02, another 6:43. When we got home, our parents were frantic. They said we'd been gone 3 hours longer than we thought. We never found that side path again.
I was 17 when this happened. My friends and I used to hang out at this old cemetery near our neighborhood. We just had nowhere else to go after midnight. The place was quiet, had benches, and no one bothered us. One night we brought snacks, sat around a headstone like idiots. Around 1 a.m. I wandered off a bit, checking my phone, when I noticed one grave that looked fresh. The soil was darker and looser, like it had been dug up recently. But the date on the stone was from the 80s. When I stepped closer, the ground actually shifted under my shoe like something hollow was underneath. I froze. Then I heard someone whisper behind me, Don't stand there. A man's voice. I turned so fast I almost fell, but no one was within 30 meters. My friends were still by the benches. The whisper came again, but this time directly by my left ear. Move. I bolted back to my friends, heart pounding. I didn't tell them what happened because they'd never let me hear the end of it. 2 weeks later, the cemetery was taped off. Someone had been digging up old graves at night, stealing items buried with the bodies.
When I was 16, the spot where everyone hung out was this old railroad track running behind the town cemetery. The tracks didn't work anymore. The trains had been shut down for years, but the area had a good view of the stars. One night, 3 of us were sitting on the rails. Then we heard it. A train horn. We all went silent. No trains had used those tracks since before we were born. Then we felt the vibration in the rails. Then, suddenly, the temperature dropped. It was like stepping into a freezer. And out of nowhere, wind blew past us. But there was no train. After 30 seconds, the vibrations stopped. We ran home. The next day, we told an old guy who lived nearby he'd been there since the 70s. He told us, "You kids shouldn't be on those tracks at night." Last train that ran through there derailed near the cemetery, killed the conductor. Some folks say it still passes through, looking for the station that ain't there anymore. I don't believe in ghosts, but to this day, when I walk near those tracks, I swear I feel the ground humming under my feet.
If you like this compilation, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for more. And if you have your own scary experience, feel free to share it in the comments for the next video or email us for anonymous feedback.